Knowing the definition of neglect is one thing, but knowing exactly what to do when a parent arrives at your door smelling of vodka, holding their child's hand is another thing entirely. Welcome to a safeguarding scenario test. Today, we aren't doing a textbook quiz. We are testing your safeguarding reflexes. I've got 20 real-world, high-pressure scenarios that happen in nurseries every single day. You have 5 seconds to decide your move. If you hesitate, or if you're second guessing your answers, it could be a sign that your training needs an upgrade. This is exactly why my Ofsted approved level 2 safeguarding course exists, to give you the legal confidence to act when it matters most. Grab a pen, be honest with yourself, and use code SAFEYouTube if you realize today that you need that certified level 2 qualification. So let's go. Round 1. The front door. These happen at 8 AM or 5 PM, the most chaotic times in a nursery. What do you do? Scenario 1. A dad arrives to pick up his daughter. He is stumbling slightly and smells strongly of alcohol. He has his car keys in his hand. What is your immediate action? You shouldn't let the daughter go home with the father and call another emergency contact. You have a duty of care. Though you cannot forcibly imprison a child, you must do everything in your power to prevent the child from entering a dangerous situation, like a car with an intoxicated driver, and notify the police or social care if he leaves. Scenario 2. At drop-off, a mum tells you her son fell on a toy and has a bruise on his back. When you check, the bruise is a long, straight mark that doesn't match a toy shape. What do you do? Record her explanation word for word, but immediately report the inconsistent injury to your DSL. Injuries that don't match the explanation are primary red flag for physical abuse. In my level 2 course, we deep dive into inconsistent explanations, which is a key Ofsted focus. Scenario 3. A person you've never seen before arrives to collect a child. They don't have the password, but the child runs to them shouting "Grandpa" and is clearly happy to see them. Do you let them go? The answer is absolutely not. No password, no ID, no prior authorization equals no collection. Emotional recognition from a child is not legal authorization. You follow the policy, not your feelings. Number 4. A parent wants to discuss a private bruise they found on their child at home, but they are shouting it in the middle of a busy reception with other parents around. How do you handle this? The best practice is to calmly move the parent to a private office immediately. You must maintain confidentiality for the child and the family. Discussing safeguarding concerns in a public area could be a breach of GDPR and safeguarding protocol. Number 5. A child arrives for the 4th time this week in a dirty nappy and clothes that smell of damp. The parent says the washing machine is broken. Does this stay as a chat or go on a form? Regardless of how you feel, it should go down as a low-level concern or on a neglect log immediately. One broken washing machine is a bad week. 4 times in a row is a pattern. Without noting down the concern, you won't see the pattern. And patterns are how we identify neglect before it becomes a crisis. So those are 5 scenarios at the door. Now let's move on to round 2, on the floor. Now we're inside the room. The kids are playing, the room is busy. Can you spot the risks? Scenario 6. You find 2 4-year-olds in the roleplay area. They have taken their trousers down and they're playing doctors in a way that involves touching each other's private parts. What is your first move? You should stop the play immediately. Separate the children gently and report it to the DSL. While curiosity is natural, sexualized play involving genitals must be recorded. It helps the DSL determine if this is age appropriate or a sign that one of the children is being abused elsewhere. Scenario 7. You notice a child constantly eating the Play-Doh and scavenging for scraps in the bin after snack time. What are your first thoughts? This is one of the behavioural indicators of food deprivation under neglect. When a child is obsessed with food to the point of eating non-food items or scavenging, it suggests their basic nutritional needs aren't being met at home. Scenario 8. You're in the baby room. The room temperature says 23 degrees. The babies are asleep. One baby has a blanket tucked under their chin. What is the danger? Overheating and suffocation risk. As we discussed in my EYFS updates video, the max temperature should be 20 degrees. Blankets must be below the shoulder and you need to adjust the environment and the bedding immediately. Scenario 9. You are changing a 5-month-old baby, non-mobile, and find a small bruise on their thigh. The baby cannot crawl or pull to stand. How serious is this? This is a category 1 priority report. The rule of thumb: those who don't cruise, don't bruise. A non-mobile baby should almost never have a bruise. This is a massive red flag for physical abuse. And finally, scenario 10. A parent is frustrated at drop-off and roughly yanks the child's arm to make them sit down, making the child cry. They then shout, "Shut up or I'll give you something to cry about," in front of you. What do you do? You should intervene to try to de-escalate, comfort the child, and log the interaction as parental behaviour. How a parent treats a child in public is often a diluted version of how they treat them behind closed doors. This is a significant indicator of potential emotional and physical abuse. Now take a breath. Seriously. If your heart was racing during those 5-second timers, imagine how it feels when it's happening for real. In this job, you often don't get a pause button. You have to know the law, you have to know the procedure, and you have to act. The reason people freeze in these scenarios isn't because they don't care, it's because they lack certainty. If you want that certainty, and you want to be the person in the room who always knows the next step, you need to be properly certified. My level 2 safeguarding course was built specifically for early practitioners to bridge the gap between knowing the rules and applying the practice. It's Ofsted approved, it's fully certified, and it covers every scenario we're talking about today. Use the code SAFEYouTube at checkout for 20% off. It's an investment in your career, but more importantly, it's an investment in the safety of the children in your care. The link is in the description. But let's get into the hardest round of them all: staff and colleagues. Whistleblowing and low-level concerns are the areas where most practitioners struggle. It is hard to report someone you like, but remember, your loyalty is to the child, not your colleague. So let's start with scenario 11. You walk into the nappy changing area and see a senior member of staff with their personal mobile phone out on the side while they're changing a child. What do you do? Report this as a concern to the DSL or manager immediately. Most settings have a zero tolerance policy from personal mobile phones in the building, and especially in nappy changing areas, for a reason. Even if they aren't doing anything wrong, it's a major safeguarding breach and a massive risk to the setting's registration. Scenario 12. You report a valid concern about a child's safety to your manager. They tell you, "Oh, that family is just a bit chaotic. They're actually friends of mine, don't worry about it." What is your next move? Here, you whistleblow to the local authority or Ofsted. If your management is failing to act on a concern, especially because of a personal relationship, you have a statutory duty to escalate that concern externally. This is a core part of the whistleblower module in my level 2 course. Scenario 13. You witness a colleague roughly yanking a toddler's arm because they won't sit down for lunch. The child isn't bruised, but they are clearly distressed. What would you do? You should report it to the DSL or manager as an allegation of rough handling immediately. You do not chat to the colleague about it, you report it. The DSL must then follow the procedure, which may involve contacting the ladder. Physical intervention must only be used to prevent harm, never out of frustration. Scenario 14. You're in the staff room and a colleague starts gossiping about a parent's messy home life and their mental health struggles based on a safeguarding file they saw. How do you respond? You attempt to stop the conversation and report the breach of confidentiality to the DSL. Safeguarding information is shared on a need-to-know basis only. Using a child's or parent's trauma as staff room gossip is a severe breach of professional conduct and GDPR. Scenario 15. A parent from your room finds you on Facebook and sends you a private message asking for your advice on your child's behaviour at home. Do you reply? Don't reply. Screenshot the message and show it to your manager. This is a professional boundary issue. Engaging with parents on personal social media opens the door for grooming of staff and compromises your ability to stay objective if a safeguarding concern arises later. Keep it professional, always. The final 5 questions will focus on direct disclosures, what the child says. This is the most critical round. When a child chooses you as a safe person, you have one chance to get the response right. So let's start with scenario 6. A child pulls you aside and says, "Mummy hit me last night, but please don't tell her I told you. She'll be cross." What do you say? You could say something like, "I'm so glad you told me, but I have to tell someone who can help me to stay safe. I can't keep it a secret." As we discussed, you must never promise a child a secret. It's a hard conversation, but it's a legal requirement. My level 2 course actually gives you a full breakdown of child-friendly professionalism for these exact moments. During circle time, a child uses an explicit, anatomically correct adult term for a body part that is not age appropriate. The other children start laughing. What do you do? Move the child to a quiet area to talk one-to-one and report the terminology to the DSL. You don't ignore it and you don't shame them. Explicit sexual vocabulary in early years is a major indicator of potential abuse or exposure to inappropriate content. Scenario 18. You use an open prompt like, "Tell me about your mark on your leg," and the child suddenly stops talking, looks at the floor and refuses to say another word. Do you keep pushing for an answer? No. Stop the questioning, comfort the child and record their silence or reaction on the report. If you pressure a child, you can cause further trauma or contaminate their evidence. The fact that they went silent is a behavioural indicator in itself and must be logged. Scenario 19. A child tells you they have a special friend they talk to on the tablet at home who told them to keep a secret game. What is your concern? This is a high-level concern for online grooming. With the 2026 update heavily focusing on digital safety, you must treat online friends with the same gravity as physical ones. This must be escalated to the DSL immediately. A child makes a disclosure and you are so shocked that you start crying in front of them. Is this a helpful reaction? No. It can be difficult at times. You must remain professionally curious and calm. If the child sees you are distressed by what they've said, they may stop talking to protect you. You must be a stable anchor in that moment. Save your emotions for the staff room after the report is filed. But that's it. That is 20 real world scenarios in the bag. How did your reflexes hold up? If you got 18 to 20 correct or responded similarly, you are a safeguarding champion. Your instincts are sharp and your procedural knowledge is top tier. 13 to 17, you're good but you're hesitating. In the real world, that hesitation can lead to mistakes. Try to tighten up your knowledge of the law. If you got 12 or less, this is your wake-up call. Safeguarding is too important to do by feel. You need formal, structured learning. The reality of our job is that we are the last line of defense for these children. If you found yourself second guessing even one of these scenarios, I want you to head over to the link in the description. My level 2 safeguarding course isn't just a series of slides. It's the manual for every scenario we just covered. It's Ofsted approved. It gives you a certified qualification for your staff file and it gives you the peace of mind that you're doing your job to the highest possible standard. Use the code SAVEYouTube for 20% off today. Let's get you certified. And if you haven't done it yet, make sure you go and watch my ultimate 40 questions safeguarding mega test. It's on the screen now. It will test your knowledge of the actual legislation and the new 2026 updates. But before you go, comment your score below. I want to see who got 20 out of 20 and subscribe for more early years training, and I'll see you on the next one. God bless.